Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, his uncle, that a big army was headed to Medina to attack it. So he gathered his companions and he asked them, what do you think? Personally, he said, I think that we should wait for them until they attack Medina. Medina, by nature, is a fortress. It is surrounded by mountains. So no one can attack us except from one area. And when they come from that area, we're ready for them. We can corner them. We can attack them. And even if they were so strong and more powerful than we are, and we had to retreat, then the women and the children can participate from rooftops by throwing, from the houses, by throwing things over them, and they will be defeated. This was a sound opinion from the Prophet ﷺ. And Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, who came because he was the leader of his tribe, though he was a hypocrite, yet the Prophet ﷺ treated him as a normal person. And this is a very important lesson. No matter how bad you think your Muslim brother is, as long as on the surface his actions do not imply otherwise, you treat him as a Muslim. You do not judge people from their intentions, because this is something only Allah Azza wa Jal knows.
How was he also known as a hypocrite then, but you can still treat him?
Well, the Prophet ﷺ had so many verses revealed on incidents pointing him out as a hypocrite. But the Prophet himself ﷺ knew the hypocrites by name. Yet he treated them as was apparent to the people. Because in Islam, if I were to be a judge and I saw someone kill in front of me or steal in front of me, I do not have the right to enforce the law on him, because at this moment I'm not a judge. I'm a witness. But if two people came to me and testified that he did this thing, then I can force the law on him and give him the proper punishment. Likewise, though the Prophet ﷺ knew that this man was a hypocrite, Allah Azza wa Jal told him that this man is a hypocrite. Yet, to show his companions how to deal and act in such situations, he did not harm him. He did not execute him. And on the contrary, when he died, the Prophet ﷺ gave him his own garment to be wrapped in and buried in his grave. And he also wanted to pray the funeral prayer on him. But Allah Azza wa Jal denied him from doing this. And he said, even if you seek Allah's forgiveness for them 70 times, Allah will not forgive them, because they died on blasphemy, on kufr. This hypocrite, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the Prophet, from his mercy, said, if I knew that Allah would forgive him, if I ask Allah for forgiveness more than 70 times, I would have. Allah said, 70 times you ask for forgiveness, he will not be forgiven. So he said, if I knew that Allah would forgive him, if I do it more, I would have asked Allah for forgiveness for him. So the Prophet ﷺ treated them as Muslims, because up till the moment, they did not show something concrete to be condemned for or to be trialed and executed because of, as a sign of blasphemy. So he was called to the majlis of the Prophet ﷺ.
So what about the statements which he said it before, like, cussing or slandering the companions? So the words or the saying meant in Islam, like, we don't take it into actions, or how we should deal then with the hypocrites if they say something bad about the Islam then?
If they say something bad about Islam, and this is documented, then they are punished accordingly. For example, because there are so many times that you would not have sufficient evidence to back this up. And there are so many times that it would be misinterpreted. So he would claim that, no, I didn't mean this, I meant something else. And that is why it is important that the evidences are all in place and they can stand in trial. And having said that, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul was very careful. He used to do all of his things in the secret and blame others for it, as in the case of slandering Mother Aisha. May Allah be pleased with her, in the ifk, which inshallah we will come to talk about that on a later stage. So the Prophet ﷺ's opinion was, we should stay in Medina. Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul agreed with the Prophet ﷺ, not because he thought that this was a good point and a strategic plan, but because he was afraid of going out to fight the polytheists. So he thought, let me stay where it's easier for me to hide, in a house or in somewhere else. The other group of the companions disagreed. And among them was Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the brave warrior, the lion of Allah, and a number of companions, youngsters.
I heard that the youth suggested to go out of the Medina to have the war there, and the old companions had the suggestion that they would stay in Medina.
Well, not only the old companions, but the majority of the companions, among them were the youth, the youngsters who did not get the chance to fight with the Prophet ﷺ in Badr. They missed it because the Prophet, when he went to Badr, they didn't think that he was going to fight. They thought he was just going to take the caravan. And he did not wait until the full army was mobilized. He just said, whoever has a ride ready, he just gets on his ride and follow me. And who doesn't, he may stay in Medina. So those who did not go with the Prophet ﷺ in Badr felt unfortunate, and they were so eager to go out and fight that they've advised the Prophet ﷺ not to stay. They wanted to go out. It's a sign of bravery. Don't wait for them to come. We will go for them. Don't call us, we'll call you. So the companions wanted to go out to fight the polytheist army. And at the same time, some of the companions said that throughout history, nobody dared to attack Medina in our houses. We always go out to attack them. So this would be a first if they come and attack us. And it's a disgrace for us. So the Prophet ﷺ abandoned his own opinion because of the majority. And he went into his house. When he went to his house, the companions started blaming each other. And they started saying that, I believe that we've said something that the Prophet did not like, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should have followed his opinion, because his opinion is the sound and wise one. The Prophet ﷺ, when he went to his house, he put on his armor. He put a shield from the front and from the back. He put his helmet. He put all the chains around him to protect him from the swords and from the spears. And he went out, ready to fight. When the companions saw him, they said, O Prophet of Allah, we concede. We agree. Let us wait until they come and we fight them from Medina. But unfortunately that was too late. The Prophet ﷺ told them the ruling, and he said that it should not be for a prophet, after wearing the gear of war, to wait. This is not permissible. The minute a prophet puts on the gear of war, he must go out and fight.
Does it mean that some prophets fought before the Prophet ﷺ, or the Prophet ﷺ, he was the first prophet to have battles against?
No, of course, all messengers of Allah, or most of them, fought. For example, the messenger of Moses, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he fought against so many. Even when they went to Jerusalem and his people refused fighting with him, as we were told in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and the things that happened afterwards, Prophet David and Prophet Solomon also were great warriors. David was known, peace be upon him, to make these shields and swords, and Allah Azza wa Jal made iron come so soft in his hand so that he can shape it in any form he likes. So messengers did fight. Some of their fights we were told about, and some was not disclosed to us. But we know for sure that some of them did fight. David and Goliath is known in the Bible, but we know that Talut and Jalut and what happened with them, and how David killed the aggressor king, and what happened afterwards. Now, going back to the battle, the Prophet ﷺ started to mobilize his own army. Everyone was eager to fight. Now everybody was ready. So no one was holding back like in Badr, because now they know, they're preparing, and they're anticipating the arrival of that army. The army of the Prophet ﷺ was composed of 1,000 men, compared to 3,000 fully armed. And how many riders, how many knights do you suspect they had? They had only 2 riders.
Just 2 horses?
Only 2 horses. And what would 2 horses do in front of 200 men on horseback, fully armed? And how many men in armor? 100 only. So it was, by today's calculation, not a fair war. Because 1 to 3, and they had the Air Force with them, with 200 riders, and they had only 2 choppers, 2 helicopters that could not maneuver. And they had all the tanks, 700 tanks, and the Muslims had only 100 tanks. So it was inevitable that defeat is coming. So we could think and calculate with our own calculations nowadays. But it was different at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, because he was not on his own. I'm afraid that this is all that time we have for today's program. When we meet next time, inshallah, we will continue to talk about the battle of Uhud. So until then, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.